Okay, let's look at LTSpice on a Macintosh. I have LTSpice open. I just need to now go to New and get a new schematic. And you'll notice that the Macintosh version is very minimal compared to the Windows version. We don't have a bunch of buttons up here to do. All we have is a Run button and a Control Panel button. But certainly if you're trying to find components or how to rotate things, I mean, none of these buttons are now at the top of the screen. Everything we do is going to be a right click. So I'm going to right click and we get this little menu. I can go to Draft and I can say, let's add a component. You notice F2 is the shortcut for that. So this will bring up our component directory, and I want to add a voltage source. So as soon as I start typing in voltage, it immediately finds something down here that's good. And I'm going to select that, say voltage. I want to add a voltage source. And you notice that this could be either a DC, an AC, a pulse, a sine wave, a lot of different voltage sources. So it's not only a voltage source, but it's also a signal generator. So let's say OK. And we now have that component that we can place multiple times if we need to. And if we don't want to place any more, we can just say escape, and that goes away. If we wanted to say, oh, I have too many of these, I want to cut one, let's go to Edit and Delete. So now I'm in delete mode. So as soon as I use my scissors, I can delete something. I'll press escape. So anyway, we have a voltage source. Let's grab a resistor. So I'm going to type in resistor, and it brings up a resistor here. Note that there are different shapes of resistors. There's even one called European resistor, which is the one that I prefer to use. But until we, and I'll show you the way to make that the default later. I've actually put a little one down here just so I could find it really quickly. But let's go with the standard one for now. So we'll say resistor, and we notice that it's in a vertical mode. And look at the status bar here. It'll always kind of give you a little direction. It says type Control R to rotate, or Control E to mirror. So if I want to rotate that, I want to do it this way. And click to place. And of course, I could place more if I wanted, or press escape to get out of that. Let's go to another component. Let's do capacitor. It finds capacitor right away. We'll select that, say OK. And this time I do want it in its vertical mode, so I'm just going to place it there and press escape. So we have our three components. Now we need to wire these together. So I'm going to start with getting a ground. In the Windows version, there's a little ground symbol up here. But in the Mac version, again, we need to find it. And this time it's not a component, it's a net. So let's go to net name, and we'll say ground. So that's our global node 0. That's our net 0. So we'll say OK here, and I'm going to place one over here and another one over here. And then we'll press escape because we're done with that. So let's wire these together. We need to get our wiring tool. Again, this is in draft, and we'll say wires, or F3. And now you can see we have a crosshatch. So every one of these has a little terminal to connect the wires. So if I click, and then I can click again, and then click again. So now those are wired together. There's a much, and you could keep going, click, click. In fact, we'll just do that one. But you can also wire through components, and LTSpice is smart enough to know that you're not putting the wire over a component. You want to connect it to each one of its terminals. So we can quickly do that. So we have our schematic completely wired. I'll press escape again. Now we need to add some values. So the way to do that, you notice up here in the status window, as soon as I mouse over something, it says right click to edit R1. So certainly I could just right click over the R and add a value. Or if I want to have more specifics, I can right click over the component and it says pick a standard value. Sure, we could do that. For this lab, I would prefer that you make up some values so that people have different values. So for instance, my name has 4 letters. So I'm going to say 4 times, let's say 10,000. So that would be 40,000 ohms, or I can shorten that to 40K. So that would be 40 times 10 to the third equals 40,000 ohms. And for our capacitor, notice if we click on here, we have lots of things we could put in. Or we could even pick one from the database. But let's just put a generic value here of, since again, 4 letters in my name, I'm going to say 0.04 microfarads. So if you had, for instance, 9 letters in your name, you would do that. If you had 11 letters in your name, you would do 0.11 U. But I have 4, so let's go 0.04 micros. So we have our two components have values now. We just need to make sure that this has a value over here. So I could, again, click on that, and I could do a generic value for this, or let me just click on the component so we can see other things. So if this was a DC voltage source, I would just click in maybe 1 volt here, or 5 volts. But I want to go to advanced mode because I want to make this a pulse wave, which means a pulse wave is kind of like this. It starts out, it jumps up, goes over, and jumps back down. So we're going to do like a square wave. So our initial value, let's say, is 0 volts. Our full value when it's on will be 1 volt. How long does it take to get to 1 volt? Or how long am I going to delay before I go up to 1 volt? Let's say 10 milliseconds. How long does it take to rise up to 1 volt? So I'm going to say 1 microsecond, and then also falling will be 1 microsecond. And then how long is it on? We'll again say 10 milliseconds because I want this to be a square wave. So if I'm delaying 10 milliseconds, going up to 1 volt, having it on for 10 milliseconds, then going back down, that means my entire period is 20 milliseconds. Oops, 20 milliseconds. So we'll say OK. So now we have our signal generator that's set up to do a pulse wave. And this is kind of, I mean, electrically, this doesn't make any difference that all the letters run over each other. But just to make that a little easier to read, let's create our move command, our F7, and click on that descriptor and just move it. I mean, we could put it anywhere, but just move it out of the way. So now we have our completed schematic. And again, everything on the Mac is a right click. So if I right click, I can get to things. And the only weird one was, getting that ground is in a net name because you're creating a net, which is like a point of equal potential. This is our completed schematic, and in the next video, we'll run some tests. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, let's title this. I'm going to say save as. We'll call it LAB01. We're doing the LTSpice lab intro. Maybe I'll call that intro, and then I'll put my name on here. So when you turn this in, I know who it came from. I'll say save. So now we're done. Let's run some tests.